welcome to Gifted Guitars. Today we are continuing our work on this ridiculous chicken guitar that I'm making for my mother as a gift. She has no idea. It's a surprise. And today we are going to be painting the chicken, which I'm very excited about, / nervous. I am nervous to do this because I'm trying some techniques that I haven't tried before. When you've put this much work into something, any step in the process where there's a chance you could mess it all up, it's a little nerve-wracking. But the nice thing about paint is you can kind of sand it off and retouch it up and do all sorts of things. So I'm not too worried, but I would like to keep the wood grain, which does kind of complicate things. So my first step is going to be to take the neck back off of the chicken, set the neck aside, and start painting our chicken. Before I even set up to paint, I am going to sand this one last time with 400 grit sandpaper. I didn't get to that level of grit, that fineness, when I sanded it before, and looking at it, I'm seeing little tooling marks and stuff. I have a feeling that all that's gonna pop out even more and be more glaring as I put the paint on. And so to avoid that, I'm just gonna sand it one last time by hand with 400 grit. And hopefully that takes it all out and we'll be good to go. I've said it before on this channel, I don't like sanding. I thought I was done. So this is, I love you, Mom. Alright, so I have a few thoughts on how I'm going to work with this. First off, I love the green, especially on the back of the guitar. I just think it's so pretty, and I'd like to try and incorporate it somehow. I'd try to keep it as part of it. So what I'm gonna do is really lightly airbrush it and try and get some color to it, get some depth to it without taking away that grain. When I've done airbrushing in the past, I usually have some sort of primer on the wood before I begin painting onto it. I'm not gonna do that this time. The reason I'm doing that is because I want that grain to show through. The danger of that is that it is gonna soak into the wood. It's gonna take more pigmented paint to get anything to look like anything on here. But my hope is that it looks more like a stain than an actual paint job. This might not work. It's all theoretical. I really don't know. But I thought it was worth a try. I'm excited to give it a go. I just mixed up a sort of base coat. It's not a primer, but it is a base coat. It's sort of the lightest color that I'm going to put onto the guitar. And then I'll work up to like darker colors as I go. Moment of truth. Time to paint the chicken. I really like the color on this right now, but I'm realizing that I need to be able to move it around more and work on it in 3 dimensions. Can't just work on it on a flat plane. I don't think that's gonna work very well. So I have to figure out a way of hanging it somewhere in here. So that's my next step, is to figure out how to hang it somewhere in here so that I can airbrush it and turn it and do it in all sorts of directions. So far, this is going better than I had expected. I've got the back is gonna stay pretty much the way it is right now. It reminds me of like a butterscotch blonde Telecaster that's sort of see-through. You can see the grain on it. And I really like that. I like the look of the back a lot. The front is coming along nicely as well. One thing I will say about airbrushing is that it does a really good job with like a gradient, like a smooth transition from one color to another. It does a great job at that. It's not very good at hard lines and details. Things sort of become muddy or cloudy with an airbrush unless you do masking. And if you mask things properly, they end up looking really, really great. So at this point, this coat is all dry. I've sort of done the base coat on here. The next step is to mask out certain parts and paint them. The process of masking is kind of funny because it's this long, meticulous thing to get all the masking into place. Then the airbrushing takes like no time at all, it's seconds. And then you wait for it to dry, and when you peel it off, that's when the real magic happens and it sort of comes to life. Unless there's any bleed or dripping or things like that, then it's just disappointing. But hopefully today we get a little magic. That's what I hope for. I think what I'm gonna do here is choose sections of the chicken to work on and mask everything else off and finish off with the facial features of the chicken. That's gonna be the most delicate work. I'm gonna iron out sort of the kinks on the main body of the chicken and then tackle the beak end of the chicken. Well, I thought the body turned out beautifully, but the tail is giving me some trouble. Basically, the pigment in the paint is sort of just getting into the cracks and stuff, which is great for staining, especially if you want the wood grain to show through, but the tail of this chicken, I did want it to be a little more black. And it's ending up more splotchy. One of the nice things about painting a chicken is that it's an organic thing, so there's imperfections and stuff like that. I can get away with a lot. But the paint isn't really adhering to the body of the guitar the way I want it to. So I'm gonna thicken it up a little bit, see if I can get some paint that has like a higher pigmentation in it. I'm also gonna do coats and let those coats dry, and then do another coat, let that coat dry, and see if I can get it just a little more black. It's getting there. I'm mixing new paint while I'm drying it off with a hairdryer. All right, we have a chicken. This is our chicken. This is the back of it. This is the front of it. I think it turned out pretty awesome. I love that you can still see the wood grain through it. I think that the colors are really natural and nice. I like it. I like this chicken. So I'm gonna let this dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna start the process of lacquering it with guitar lacquer, and then it has to set for a long time. So, good night, chicken. I will see you in the morning.
Today I'm spraying the guitar with a sanding sealer. So, just doing that over and over again every hour. So I do that, and then I wait an hour, and then I do that again, and I do that all day long. And then tomorrow I can sand it.
It has been well over 24 hours, and this is what our chicken is looking like right now. It's got a nice semi-gloss sheen to it. And since all I was spraying on it was sanding sealer, I still need to put several coats of the guitar lacquer on here, the final gloss lacquer. But before I do that, I want to do a level sanding, which is somewhat of a nerve-wracking process because you want to smooth out all of the imperfections in the lacquer, but not go deep enough that you get to paint. And this particular wood has some very deep graining on it. You can see these grains here. You can feel them in real life. You can't, but I can feel them. They're here. So I can feel this grain, and I don't know if I'm gonna totally be able to get that smooth and just have the visual of the grain without the texture of the grain, but I'm gonna get as close as I can without, you know, going overboard. All of that is to say that it's time for me to sand again. Building guitars takes a lot of sanding, and that's fine. I'm okay with it, kind of. All right, our chicken is done being painted. You can see that shine on there. That's because I sprayed this clear gloss guitar lacquer. It's a nitrocellulose. I didn't film myself spraying it because it's just clear. So it's like, it's not that exciting to watch some guy spray clear stuff onto a thing. No change happens, but it's dry now to the touch. I can touch it, but it hasn't cured yet. And so I need to hang this up for another like 10 days or so, just to let it cure and harden so that I can do all my sanding and finishing work on it. So it's just gonna hang for a little while. But don't worry, because next week I am going to be working on making a dad joke last forever. You may think I'm joking, but I would never joke about a dad joke. To see what I mean, make sure that you tune in next week right here on Gifted Guitars. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. This chicken guitar is quickly becoming one of my favorites. It's just so ridiculous. I love it. I hope that you're enjoying it too, and I will see you next week.